FlyNewBeingQueenTV.com, and we're going to talk about something that we both saw in the media that we thought was worth discussing. And I'm actually waiting to see if this computer is going to act right and actually take us live. It's one of them is not actually telling me that we're completely live, but we're gonna make that happen at some point. So anyway, as we get started, I want to ask Norma Langa, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Boyce. How are you?
Doing really well, really well. Now, the thing that I wanted to talk to you about today actually had to do with this interesting thing coming out of the Griot. It's an interesting story about the Towanda Braxton, who happens to be the sister of Toni Braxton. And apparently, she's kind of following the family tradition of having these significant financial problems. And one of the things that they're actually literally saying is that she's not just declaring bankruptcy, which seems to happen a lot in their family, but she has about $150 in the bank. Her expenses far outweigh her income, which doesn't appear to be as high as you would expect it to be, for somebody in that family. And she's got just massive amounts of debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, very few assets, etc. Did you see that story?
I did. I quickly printed an article which kind of summarized it all. And yes, she filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy and claims she has only $150 in her bank account. She has listed that she has $277,000 in assets and almost $550,000 in liabilities.
Wow. Yeah. And this is interesting. Now, I didn't know who Towanda Braxton was. I know about the other Braxtons, but Toni and then the Tamar, I think that's her name, the one that they were saying is like a brat and she's kind of mean. At least that's the way she's portrayed on TV. And but I did not know about this particular one, Towanda. Is she a singer too? Like it seems like they all sing. Is that accurate? Or?
All of Toni Braxton's sisters have at some point been her backup singers.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then Towanda, I think, was also part of another group.
Okay.
So yeah. So the short answer is yes, she also sings. And then they had a show for a while. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a show, a reality show of the whole family of a gaggle of women fussing about.
A gaggle. And yeah, I think I saw it was a Braxton Family Values. Is that right? That was the name of the show, right?
Yes, which totally was like the weirdest name ever considering. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about Braxton Family Values, like we know one of their values is not financial literacy or financial responsibility, right? That's not to say that they're not talented, but clearly, I mean, because and I'm not making fun of Towanda's bankruptcy at all. I mean, in fact, I'll even say, I declared bankruptcy a long time ago, but when I did it, I kind of learned some lessons from that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do it again and again and again. And it just seems like with the family, it seems like they're always sort of stuck with these financial challenges. And it's also interesting because most people that make money at that level, that they've made money, wouldn't go through something like that. I mean, do you think that there's something a little bit strange about this family in terms of what they're doing financially?
Well, I mean, my stance is I don't expect them to have financial literacy just because they got a bunch of money, especially when they're celebrities. People who come into sudden money tend to come into sudden bankruptcy and sudden poverty not long after. Or they never really pass it on to the next generation unless the next generation are also a bunch of celebrities. I mean, that's the pattern if you study them. There's no history of them ever having had money or wealth in their family and being able to pass it down from generation to generation and sustain it. So my expectation is that if they get it through singing or whatever else it is, that's quick money, right? Even not to negate the fact that they work hard and all this other stuff, but becoming a celebrity usually means you got money that wasn't there in the past generation. So my expectation is they will use it before they can pass it to the next generation.
So it's like a new money thing, like the same reasons or the same ways people that win the lottery a lot of times go broke because they've never had any money, and also actually buying lottery tickets. I call lottery tickets like financial crack, because what they kind of do is they're actually, you're not making a sound financial move, right? We know that's not a good financial move to buy lottery tickets, but the thing is, people do it because it gives you a high. Like there's a high that comes with knowing that you might win. And actually, psychologists say that randomness of knowing that you might possibly win, that this might be the time, get you excited, because we actually get, when it comes to pleasure-seeking behavior that drives, the endorphins in our brain, they've actually shown that it's not the actual receiving of pleasure that drives the endorphins. It's the anticipation of pleasure, or the anticipation of possible pleasure, which is really a deep kind of thing, right? Most people don't even get that, right? Like even when they talk about sex, they say that the receiving of the pleasure from sex doesn't do it as much as the excitement of it. And that actually translates to why people might buy lottery tickets, or why they might gamble. In fact, they actually showed that if you were gambling and you knew you were going to win every time, it wouldn't do anything. Eventually, you'd become numb to it. You'd be like, yeah, of course I'm going to win, right? But if you know that sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose, right? Then you actually have a different type of reaction psychologically, which is really interesting. So that's why I call lottery tickets financial crack, because you're getting high on the possibility you might win.
But those are actually two components of happiness that you need in your life. Is you need an element of certainty and an element of uncertainty. So this fulfills that element of uncertainty, but there's some excitement about the uncertainty, that you're not certain if it's going to happen, but if it does happen, it'll be great.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the same thing I think with gambling.
Interesting.
Gambling.
Well, everybody who just tuned in, I'm talking to Nomalanga Mushali Moses, all the way in Botswana, and we're talking about Towanda Braxton, one of the Braxton sisters, who just declared bankruptcy. According to the griot, it looks like poor Towanda, and I'll share my screen so you guys can see what she looks like. If you're on drboycetv.com, you'll see her picture. If you're not, then just imagine a beautiful black woman standing in front of a step and repeat at a celebrity event, and she's having some financial problems. According to the blast, they said that she owes her sister $35,000. She filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which is liquidation, and she has only $150 in her bank account. In the court documents reportedly obtained by the site, Braxton filed her case in April and listed $277,000 in assets and $547,000 in liabilities. So she's a couple $100,000 in the hole, pretty much, or close to that, or I guess a little more than that, about $230,000, something like that. Her assets include $275,000 home that she just bought. I don't think that's a complete asset though. The bank probably owns most of that house. $1,500 in household goods, $1,000 in clothing, $150 in her checking account. Her listed debts include $417,000 to a mortgage company, $76,000 to her former landlord. I don't know. Let me just stop right there, and I want to mention a couple things and ask you about this, Noma. But one thing is, I'm not really sure how you end up owing a landlord $76,000, or whatever that number was, like a landlord. I hope that I'm maybe assuming that maybe she had a house and she owed $76,000 on the house and walked away from the loan. But I don't know.
She rented a house and then didn't pay long enough to accumulate $76,000.
Okay, so everybody who's watching, first thing, let's lay this out here. Let me put my black finance professor hat on. Noma, I have a hat that says black finance professor on it, and I'm gonna put on my black. I'm putting on my black finance professor hat, and I'm going to say, if you ever come up to me and tell me that you owe your landlord $76,000, I might slap you. I probably wouldn't. I probably won't. But just know, in my mind, I'm slapping you in my mind, because you should never owe a landlord $76,000. That speaks to a mindset. There is such a thing as a poverty mentality. I don't care what anybody says. There is such a thing as a wealthy mentality and a poverty mentality. And it's one thing if you owe your landlord a few $1,000, or if you are renting. A lot of people rent. No shame in renting. I'm not making fun of you if you do. There's no shame in that. But renting at that magnitude, without sort of feeling that that okay, I've got to figure out a way to own something, that's clearly a problem. What do you think about that, Nomalanga?
Yeah, the most basic need in the physical world is shelter. And before you take care of anything else, I would assume that at some point you're going to take care of the shelter. So to me, that does speak volumes where you go for that long, or that amount of time, not taking care of that very, very basic need. But again, I think what needs to be said is that I was looking at this just before we went live, and I said, by celebrity standards, she's very poor. Her home is only a $277,000 home, and then her.
Hold on. There's no such thing as only a $270,000 home. It's only if you're a Braxton, right? If you're a Braxton, then. Oh, right. Okay, got you. I was gonna say, yeah. For most people, yeah.
I would have no problem with 200 and whatever, especially in Atlanta, Georgia. That's actually a mini mansion if you're in Georgia.
Absolutely.
So that's not what I'm knocking. I'm saying by celebrity standards, because usually when we talk about celebrities, we're talking in millions, right? Not in thousands.
Right.
So she only has a home for $277,000, and then this debt that has totally killed her finances is 500, not even 550, so a little over $500,000. So that's not a lot by celebrity standards. She's,
right.
She's kind of poor by celebrity standards. But the point I was getting to, Boyce, is that when we see her, we see a celebrity. So she's still expected to show up in a certain kind of car. She's still expected to attend certain kinds of events, eat at certain restaurants, whatever. She's still expected to exhibit this celebrity lifestyle, and I think that's part of the problem. And she doesn't seem to have the money to sustain it, but she's still living that life. And I think that's a lot of times. I've seen it with the housewives as well. The housewives of Atlanta. You always hear about them and their financial woes. And if you watch even a few minutes of the show, you'll see that they're wearing expensive clothes, living in big mansions, driving expensive cars, going on expensive vacations, and that's part of their lifestyle, which apparently they can't even afford.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say too is that Tony's niece Lauren just died yesterday or a couple of days ago, and at the age of 24. And I want to say I'm really sorry for that. I give them my condolences.
Yeah.
And so we're not in any way making fun of the Braxton family. That's not what the goal is here. The goal is to try to learn and understand. How does this happen? How does this kind of thing occur? If you look at Tony's career, I don't know how many records Toni has sold, but I'm going to guess it's probably in the millions. She sold. Let's see. In fact, her debut album sold 10 million copies worldwide, and her second studio album sold 15 million copies worldwide. Right. So, and this was at a time where albums, you had to spend about $10 for an album. So if you talk about 10 million albums, that's $100 million. 15 million albums, $150 million. And again, this isn't all going to Toni, right? We know this. We know the deals with the record labels are pretty bad, and the artists don't get what they deserve. But the artists do get something. And there are artists that have had that same level of success who are very secure financially, right? But then there are artists who've had that level of success who are really struggling. And I think that there's something, there when you talk about the culture, you're talking about Atlanta culture and the celebrity housewife culture and just celebrity culture in general, making you feel that in order for you to be in this club, you've got to dress a certain way, look a certain way, show up in a certain kind of car. And that becomes a heavy burden to carry, and again, it's easy for us to say, oh, well, just stop doing that. But the question is, do we need to look at us and say, well, if a celebrity does say, look, I'm not gonna floss, I'm not gonna show off, I'm not gonna have all this fancy stuff, do you think that celebrity's success would drop? Like, do you think that they would sell fewer albums because the public will kind of look at them and say, oh, you must not be a real celebrity or a real rapper or a real whatever because look at what kind of car you're driving? What do you think about that, Noma?
The only celebrity that I know who gets away with that is Whoopi Goldberg. She looks bummy most of the time, and she tells you that she doesn't care. In fact, she doesn't even bother to wear a bra. She says that openly, like, I can't be bothered. And she gets away with it. But the thing is, she's been a celebrity for so long, and she's already proven who she is so long ago. She doesn't fly. She has a tour bus. She just doesn't care. But if we're talking about housewives, that's a whole nother game. And the Braxton show was something akin to that, where they have to kind of put on events, they have to look a certain way, they have to get the best Indian hair or whatever, Brazilian or whatever it is. I don't wear fake hair anymore, so I don't know. But I'm inclined to believe it's a very expensive lifestyle. But I do believe that if they didn't do that, it would affect whether they would even be put on TV.
Yeah, and I think the question becomes, is there a way to strike a balance? I think that the thing about this lifestyle, and this is, I think the lesson here everybody can pick up off of this for sure. You can pick whatever lessons you want. I'm not here to be preachy on this. Do what you want to do, but I think one myth that we have as a community is that is that wealth can liberate you. That wealth will free you, and actually that's not always true. Sometimes wealth can actually enslave you. Becoming successful can make you a bigger slave to money because you can form an addiction to this money. Like you need this money to maintain a certain lifestyle. You need this money to maintain a certain look. You become used to having a certain kind of car, certain kind of house, certain kind of hotels when you're on the road, eating at certain kinds of restaurants. And then also you can become trapped by the expectations of other people. If you are Toni Braxton and you're eating with a relative, then you're not supposed to expect the relative to help pay the bill. Because you're Toni, you've got millions. Why wouldn't you cover the bill at Applebee's or wherever we're eating that day, right? So you carry all of that. And some of y'all
tell me, even be at Applebee's.
What is that?
They wouldn't even be at Applebee's. That's that
that is so true. I remember I had a friend one time who was friends with Antoine Walker, this NBA star. Who went broke. He made $110 million and he lost every penny. And I had a friend that went out and hung out with him when he came back to visit campus from the NBA. And I remember one thing he said, yeah, we were all going out to eat with Antoine and we were thinking, yeah, we're going to eat good tonight. We're going to go to a steakhouse or whatever. And they got upset because they all went to White Castle. And he said, I was sitting in the back pissed off because we went to White Castle, and now Antoine did eventually go broke, for different reasons, but it's kind of like I remember how he just felt that because it was Antoine who was taking everybody to dinner that they of course they're going to be eating someplace nice. Of course it'll be something fancy. And tell me if you guys ever see this, yes or no, if you've gone through this where, in your family, if you're the one person in your family who's doing well, you're the one person in your family who went to Harvard or went to college or you got this great job, then all of a sudden you're going out to dinner with your relatives, and when the bill comes, they're all looking at the ceiling, they're on the bathroom, they're just kind of waiting, and these are the people that ordered the lobster with 2 glasses of wine and the appetizer. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones who ordered the most because they're seeing that as an opportunity. What do you think, Noma? I mean, have you ever seen that kind of thing?
Yeah, certainly. And sometimes you don't even have to be the richer or the one with more money. You just have to be the one that's perceived to have more money. And yeah, people will do that. I'm very, very sympathetic to that because I think that it creates a burden for the person that everybody expects to always pick up the bill and all this other stuff. I mean, when does it end, really? If everywhere you go, everybody has the expectation that you're gonna. I mean, it doesn't end at the restaurant. It's when people are in financial trouble and they tell you about it. They get mad if you don't respond by giving them money or bailing them out or whatever it is. And I think sometimes we ignore the fact that moochers certainly are an element when it comes to how people who did accumulate a certain amount of money do go broke. Some part of it is the moochers.
Well, I'll tell you what. And by the way, everybody, I'm talking to Noma Langamushali Moses from FlyNubianQueenTV.com. And we're talking about Towanda Braxton going bankrupt with only $150 in the bank. She's a Braxton, so it's kind of surprising. Being a Braxton is kind of like the entertainment version of being like part of the Clinton family or being a Bush or an Obama or something or a Kennedy, And so we're both kind of surprised by this. Hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do that. It's very important. But Noma, I think that that pressure, it's really interesting. I think about my own experience. I'm not a big celebrity like Toni Braxton, but a few people know who I am, right?
Yes, you are.
And
Yes, Boyce, in our world, you're the big celebrity.
no, well, no, I don't even want to claim that just because it comes with a lot of weight. It comes with a lot of weight. You know, when I was single, I'm not single now, but when I was single, I went on a date many years ago. I remember going on a date with a woman, and I could tell she was deliberately ordering the most expensive stuff on the menu, because in her mind, I got this feeling like that she felt like, okay, I'm on a date with Dr. Boyce Watkins, so I'm gonna take advantage of this opportunity. And I didn't say anything, and I paid for it, you know, and it was an expensive restaurant, a really expensive steakhouse. But I don't think that she knew. I don't think she ever had a clue that in my head, you know, I observe everything, and I was kind of like, I don't think she would be ordering like this if it were a different situation. And maybe there was like this whole trade, like, okay, if I buy you the fancy steak, you give me, you know, you give me some steak later on, if you know what I mean. Like you know, I pay for dinner, you give me dessert. I don't know if that was the game she was playing. I mean, there are people that play that game, and it's fine. I'm not judging it. People can do whatever they want to do, but
I want to interject was that just for the ladies, I do want to interject that is one of the things that men that will actually drive a man away. If
yes,
you actually wanted a long-term relationship with a man, giving him the impression that you don't value how hard he has worked for that money and that you're just casually tossing it around. I don't know if that's supposed to impress them or what. It will actually ruin what could have been something.
yes,
Or end it, really.
yes. I agree with you 100%. I think that that's 100% true. And it did make a difference. It wasn't. I wasn't mad at her or anything like that. But you know, the thing is, I know what financial pressure feels like, and I avoid that. I don't like when, you know, when you expect me to be Superman and carry everybody and their mama on my back. I already have enough on my back, you know. And so what you value is somebody that helps you carry the load. You know, not so much where they're participating financially, but to the point where they at least respect, you know, and respect what you're kind of going through, and they're not adding to the burden. They're not just yet another person that's trying to benefit from their association with you. That's kind of tough, you know. And by the way, I see you, Kale, saying I'd like to hop on a call with you. I don't talk on the phone, honestly, because my time is kind of tight. But if you have something you want to send over, just email my manager. It's manager@boycewatkins.com. That's manager@boycewatkins.com. I know I probably sound like a weird antisocial person when I say that, but I literally don't talk on the
You
phone.
sound like a celebrity. You sound
Well,
like a celebrity.
yeah. Be quiet. Stop it. It's yeah, it's like I don't want to make false promises. Like yeah, I can talk. Like literally, you get to a point, especially, you know. Speaking of another celebrity, John Singleton just died of a stroke. You know, and here's the thing about John Singleton that's really interesting is I never met John, but I do know he came to Syracuse to speak. And one of the comments the students made, they were not happy when he came, and they said the reason that they weren't happy is because they said all he was doing was he was on his phone the whole time. He looked like he was just doing business the whole time, you know. And now again, I understand that he's John Singleton. He's very busy. He was doing all these projects, but the thing was, you know, I think I wouldn't be surprised if you're talking about strokes and blood pressure and all that. If the stress of doing so many projects, keeping up with so much stuff, might have played a part in that. So for me, I deliberately, especially given that I had super high blood pressure, my blood pressure was so high they said I could have died at any minute, and I said I'm not messing around with that. So that literally meant everything that was stressing me out, I started cutting it out. You know, like if I don't feel like having a meeting, I won't do it. You know, I get up every day. I want to be happy. I want to do things I love. I want to talk to the right people, and I'll have 2 or 3 meetings a day. I'm not going to have 8 or 9 meetings. I'm not going to be on the road all the time. You know, because I don't want to be up in the hospital, you know, it's a vegetable or dead or in a coma because I was trying to please everybody. So eventually, and this is true for anybody who's listening, because black folks have this issue a lot, and it doesn't guarantee anything. I mean, for all I know, anything can happen to anybody at any time, but don't go down trying to please everybody. Because I know some of y'all might be in that position where you are everybody's superhero and you are carrying the load for everybody all the time. It's going to wear you out financially. It's going to wear you out emotionally. It's going to wear you out physically. And then you'll be dead. And then those same damn broke ass people who are leaning on you are going to have to go leech off somebody else, or they'll be sitting there broke because you are doing everything for everybody. Let them help you too. Find people in your life that are going to help you too. By the way, I want to mention Noma Langa's charity. She has a great charity where she actually helps young ladies in Botswana to obtain sanitary napkins. Sanitary napkins are really important for them because some girls have to actually miss school because when they get their cycle, and we don't want that. We don't want any. Tell me yes or no if you agree that we shouldn't have girls missing school because their cycle came. And so she created a charity called Pads for Our Girls. It's padsforourgirls.com. I am a regular monthly donor to padsforourgirls.com. I hope that you will also consider supporting these young ladies as well. Padsforourgirls.com. I want to make sure I mention that. Hit the thumbs up button. We're talking about Towanda Braxton and her bankruptcy declaration and the fact that she had $150 in the bank. Now, one other thing, and I'm going to mention her assets to you, Noma, and then I'm going to tell you what I noticed, and I'd like to get your take on this. According to the griot, Towanda Braxton, when she declared bankruptcy, Towanda is the sister of Tamar and Toni. Her assets included $275,000 home, which I doubt that she owned most of that house. The bank probably owned a big chunk of that because she probably took all the equity out if she had any equity.
The mortgage is bigger than the house.
Right. She had just bought the house in Georgia. $1,500 in household goods, which is really surprising. $1,500. That's not a lot for household goods, but okay. $1,000 in clothing. $150 in a checking account. So again, I'm surprised the Braxton would have just $1,000 in clothes. That's a little surprising. $150 in her checking account. Her listed debts included $417,000 to a mortgage company, $76,000 to a former landlord, $982 to Comcast, $8,480 to Covenant Christian Academy, I guess the school for her children, $6,211 for medical bills, a $35,000 personal loan given to her by her sister Tamar, and various other debts. Now, she lists herself as self-employed at the T. Braxton Beauty Company, maintains that her monthly income is $4,692. Her monthly expenses are $6,020. So her expenses exceed her monthly income. She has no savings account, so she can't keep up with her financial commitments. Now, one thing that I noticed that was missing, Noma, I'd like to get your take on this. I heard about money that she had, that in terms of assets that involve, the household goods, clothing. I saw debts, to the school, medical bills, etc., to debt to her sister. I did not see anything there that involved any asset that involved, I didn't see any stocks that she owns, any bonds that she owns. I didn't see any real estate that she actually owns that wasn't owned by the bank. I didn't see, anything in terms of assets that are even in the business. I don't know. Maybe there are some, but I don't see anything.
She owns the business, the Braxton Beauty Company, the T. Braxton Beauty Company.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess I'm trying to figure out, I think the one thing I would love to see, and I'm hoping everybody will hear this, is, it's okay to have financial problems. Everybody does. I mean, I'll raise my hand and be the first to say that I did have a bankruptcy when I was 25 years old. It wasn't fun, but, it's life. And I like to lay that out there because I want people to know that all of us got those black people problems, when it comes to money. A lot of us started off with nothing. We didn't start off with an inheritance or anything. And also I didn't have a culture of financial intelligence, financial literacy, right? And I didn't have anybody that could help me. But the thing about it is that I would like to see everybody own some stocks, because you can actually buy stocks very easily. If you just spent the amount of money that you spend on fast food, on stocks, and you did that for 30 years, you would have no financial problems anymore. You would have hundreds of thousands of dollars in assets. If somebody had been spending the same amount of money we spend on fast food, going out to eat, buying Beyonce tickets, going to see the Black Panther, and put that money in the stock market and have been doing that since, say, 1999, that person would have tons of money in the bank right now. What do you think about that, Noma?
I think what's bothersome to me, I've put it on hold, but I used to do a lot of business coaching, and the two issues that most people have, which aren't really, not having money isn't really the issue, but that's what people list as the main issue. I don't have seed money, or I don't have money to grow my business or to even start my business. And then the second thing is once they have a product or a service, the other problem that they have is they don't have enough eyeballs on their product or their service. And I think what's bothersome to me is these celebrities have access to other celebrities who can fund their business or whatever it is. And she has at least one show where people start to know who she is. So if she put up anything, a store, and people said knew that it was Tamar or whatever it is, she has two things that other people don't have and somehow still went broke. I would give anything for either myself or anybody that I've ever coached in business to have as much of a following as she does. I bet if you went to her Facebook page, she has more followers than the regular person, or her Twitter page, or whatever, Instagram, whatever it is. There's so many opportunities that they have that they're just not converting. And I think that's something that needs to be brought up.
Well, I think that's a good point. And I'm actually looking for her on Facebook just to see her page. She has about 44,000 people on Facebook, so she's not massive, but she's got more than most people do. Let me see on Instagram. Let me see if Towanda Braxton comes up.
You probably didn't pay for that though, Boyce. It's probably organic. I had to grow my page like consistently, and the biggest page I have maybe has 20,000 people, and I had to really grow it. But her just being a celebrity, for instance, already means that she just gets 50,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm talking about. If she put any effort into that, she could probably multiply that at 10 times or 100 times over.
Well, to your point, if you go to her Instagram page, which actually an Instagram page has more value than a Facebook page. Facebook pages used to be valuable; they're not valuable anymore. But you see, she has 583,000 followers on Instagram. So you're 100% correct. I mean, that's a revenue stream.
Million. Yeah.
Yeah, like my Instagram, which is the real Boyce Watkins, by the way, if you want to follow the real Boyce Watkins, on my Instagram page, you'll see that on my Instagram, we use that for business. We do things to try to let people know about the Black Business School and special programs that we have, and we're able to get some things done with 139,000 followers. And I imagine if we had 5 times more followers, we could do 5 times more stuff. And the other thing too is that it wasn't like I just jumped on Instagram and everyone loved me and everyone just started following me. You have to work for that. We had to make an investment to obtain that. Right.
You have to work to build that following, but they get it almost instantly because they're on TV or they're associated with another celebrity like Tamar and Toni Braxton, and they have a show. I mean, there's so many opportunities that I think they're not utilizing.
Well, let me tell you where that comes from. The reason they're not utilizing the opportunities, and as I do this, I'm going to screen share Toni Braxton's page. Toni's her sister, and I assume Toni, they know each other well enough, maybe where she would, if she asked her to share something on her Instagram, she would or whatever. But Toni's got 2.9 million followers, and if you go to Tamar Braxton's page, let me see if I can find Tamar right quick. Tamar has 3.3 million. So that's between the two most famous Braxton sisters. You've got 6.2 million followers. Now let me explain this to you guys. Platforms of that magnitude are worth millions of dollars. They're worth millions of dollars. A lot of Black celebrities don't understand the economic values of their brands because they've never been trained to be financially intelligent. In terms of knowing how to actually monetize something. The reason that the entertainment industry has enslaved Black people for so long is because we mastered the art of production. We mastered the art of singing, dancing, rapping, playing basketball, whatever it takes to entertain white people. We're very, very good at that. What we have not mastered is the second and third stages of that process, which is distribution and monetization. Distribution is
what employees. They're just employees. That's what they master, is just working for other people or creating content or doing something for other people, but never for themselves.
Yes. And distribution, all distribution is getting that talent out in front of everybody. That's why you can go to a lot of neighborhoods and you'll find these rappers that are better than anybody on the radio, but no one knows who they are. Well, because they don't have distribution and they don't know how to create that, right? And then sometimes someone will be famous, like they'll have this massive Instagram page with 5 million followers, but they'll say, I can't, I only made $3,000 this month. Well, my thought is, if you had even basic financial literacy training, you would understand that when you're sitting on 5 million followers, bro, you're sitting on a $50 million empire. You just haven't taken the time to go to business school to learn what to do with all of that. Like, you're literally sitting on a diamond mine and you don't know how to mine a diamond, and you don't know how to take that damn thing to market. If you learn how to mine your diamonds and take them to market, you would be an instant millionaire, right? So a lot of times we give ourselves away cheap. We gave away hip hop. Hip hop was $1 trillion industry. It was going to make probably $1 trillion over the next 40 years, and we gave all that away because we had the diamonds, but we didn't know how to mine them and we didn't know how to sell them. White folks, they don't go to school learning how to perform. Most of them don't. They don't go to school learning how to impress other people with their dancing and singing and rapping. We do that, right? White folks go to school, and Jewish kids go to school to learn how to monetize what other people create. So that's why, when you get to the NBA, you got all these big, tall black guys that want to go out and play basketball, which is cool. But then you've got these little short, little Jewish guys that are saying, "Hey, I'll be your manager. I'll be your agent. I'll manage your finances." And they take advantage of the fact that that these young men, in many cases, are not trained to be financially literate. So they put these contracts in front of them. I talked to a guy who played for the Utah Jazz, and he talked about this. Now, he's different. He's very smart, but he said, when I got my financial deals, when my financial advisors put these contracts in front of me, he said I had to go through and strike out so many little fine print things that they put in there, and they put them all in there because they thought I wasn't going to read it. And he said he said they didn't understand. I've been listening to people like you, meaning me. He followed me. That's why he invited me out there, and we talked. He said I've been listening to people like you, and it kind of threw them off. Like, it kind of upset them that I actually understood the game that they were playing with me. So we got to understand the game, and I think a lot of our entertainers go broke because they don't value economic education as much as they value entertainment. What do you say, Nolan?
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I don't think she should be broke. I think that she has enough people who know who she is, where if she even just got a lipstick and started selling it and called it the Braxton Beauty Company lipstick, with, I can't remember now what her following was. If even just a tenth of the people who follow her bought the lipstick, she could pay off some of that debt. If she could just go through that process of creating and then putting a product out on the market. And it doesn't even have to be that. She could be a role model. She could be a public speaker and go around doing, remember when there was such an uproar because President Obama was making $500,000 after he stopped being president or finished or whatever, and people were saying, why is he making that much money? It's because he was president, right? He's a guy who's educated, right, has experience, but he probably couldn't give a better talk than you in terms of how people can become financially literate. He couldn't. But the fact that he has that following and people know who he is means that he commands 400,000. That's just how it works. There's celebrities who, when they talk rubbish, but they go on speaking tours and make money. And people who actually have bachelor's, master's, and PhDs in those same subjects are not getting those fees. And that's because those celebrities are smart enough to capitalize on their audience.
Well, the thing is that Michelle Obama, the Obamas are going to make far more money outside of the White House than they ever made inside the White House, right? Michelle just put out that book. Her net worth is already $40 million.
Right.
And so
Which is great.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out tomorrow and said, or at the end of the year and said Michelle Obama this year made $70 million. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Because remember, they have this tremendous brand value and, the book sales and the speeches, they're going to give speeches and they're getting $50,000 or $100,000 for one speech, right? So there's a lot of money that's made, through that celebrity power. And I think that, the Braxtons, if I was a Braxton, I would probably really study the Kardashians. That's another.
Yes, I was going to bring up the Kardashians.
Yeah, that's another family that's kind of, considered almost entertainment royalty who's been able to really monetize, their influence, their social media influence. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I went to China and I saw this big ad for Gucci or some underwear, Calvin Klein underwear, I think. And it was all the Kardashians in their underwear in China. That is the weirdest thing. But it just, it just sort of is an example of the fact that, when you're that famous, you should not be broke, and you certainly shouldn't be making $4,600 a month. You shouldn't be declaring bankruptcy. You shouldn't be underwater like that. And it's not just Towanda. It's actually Toni as well. I think Toni's you said 2 bankruptcies and a tax lien or something. So she's kind of got this weird, interesting hole. And the hard part, the thing that makes me feel most sorry for them is they're not getting any younger, so it's not as easy to catch up financially when you're older and you're trying to make money by being sexy and doing all these other things. I mean, it's kind of it seems like a tough grind. So I'll let you get the last word on this, Norma. What are your thoughts?
I was just gonna add to what you were saying that Toni Braxton filed for bankruptcy in '98 and also in 2010. And according to this article that you were reading from earlier, I think it's from the Grio, she appears to have some money issues as recent as 2019, where she has a tax lien filed against her by the IRS that states that she owes close to $350,000 in back taxes for 2017.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll just say this. I wish the Braxton family well. This is not to make fun of them or to gossip about them. It's really to kind of talk about culture and how culture and mindset plays a part in your wealth. If you ever get a chance, most of you in here, tell me if you, yes or no, if you are a wealth builder. Are you looking to invest? Are you a person that owns a business? Are you a person that's trying to build something for the next generation? Yes or no? Well, if the answer is yes, then what I want to warn you about is a couple of things that pop up in my head when I see the story. One, 70% of all wealthy families lose all their wealth within one generation. So if you build wealth, you got to train your children on how to manage that wealth, or they're going to lose the money. 90% of all wealthy families lose their wealth within 2 generations. So you must make economic intelligence a part of your family culture, and you must pass that culture down to your children so they will respect and preserve the legacy that you work hard to build. Number 2, be careful about being caught up with expectations or worrying about what people think, because a lot of people go broke trying to impress broke people, right? Seriously, you go broke impressing people who are already broke because you want them to know that you have money. Who gives a shit if they know you have money? In fact, it's better for you if they think you don't have any money, and that way they'll leave your money alone. They won't come begging for it. They won't come asking you to co-sign for stuff. They won't come asking you to invest in whatever harebrained scheme they have. They won't come trying to take what you've got. Low key I think is the best approach when you actually start getting more money. Because I'll tell you, Noma, I'm happy where I am financially. Like it's going fine and everything, but I don't really want anybody to know anything about what I have money wise. I can't hide from it because I talk about money, so it would be kind of silly if I was broke telling people about money. But I've had people do that. I've had people say, "Oh, well, I heard," you get the Negro naysayers on the internet, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, I heard that Boyce ain't got $10 in his bank account," and I'm like, "Yep, that's right. Boyce ain't got no. Boyce is so broke. Look at this. What kind of man would have money and be wearing T-shirts like this? You know what I mean? And some hat, like." You know what I mean? Like seriously, like I'm just like, yep. I just, there you go. Because I don't really, I'm telling you, it's not fun. When you feel A, people constantly coming at you for money, and then B, just trying to impress people. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I don't want you. I want you to think badly of me. If you're judging me on materialistic parameters, then I need you to think I'm just a bum. I need you to think bad things about me because you're not even a person I really need in my space anyway. And so in fact, I remember when I was single and I was dating, I remember it didn't really excite me to meet. If I met a woman who was excited because she knew because of who I was, there was a thin line between being impressed with who I was and feeling like that was a come up for you, like that's a status symbol. Like, okay, I'm dating Dr. Boyce Watkins. That means I'm going to have a certain lifestyle. That means I get a certain place in society. All these other things. I don't want all that because that means that if I say something controversial and I lose that status, like suddenly everyone hates me instead of loving me, then you're going to be ashamed of me. You're going to be embarrassed, and you're going to say, "Oh my God, my husband has embarrassed me." You know what I mean? No, my thought was, I was like,
well, you're going to leave because the money's gone.
Right. The money's gone and the status is gone. And I don't want that, so I don't really, I appreciate it when it comes up, but I don't want to live off of that. You don't want to live in that bubble. So like with Alicia, one of the things I love about her is she cares not one bit about what who I am and what people think about me or whatever, because she knew me when I was a broke ass college student 25 years ago. You know what I mean? So in her mind, she'll say something like, she'll say, "Oh, Boyce, oh my gosh, I didn't know all these people knew who you were." And I'll be like, "Yeah, I've been doing this for a while." She would be really, Yeah, and in a way, I'm kind of like, you know what? That's actually kind of cool because she evaluated me based on who I was, as opposed to what other people might think that I am, or some sort of like status thing. So status is cool, but you don't want to get addicted to that. And I say that because Prince George's County actually was considered the wealthiest county for African Americans in the country, and they actually had the highest number of bankruptcies and mortgage defaults and all this other stuff after the 2007 crash, because everybody was running around trying to impress everybody else. In Atlanta, where the Braxtons live, that is the mecca of bullshit when it comes to hoity-toity Negroes trying to impress other hoity-toity, shallow, superficial Negroes, and it's stupid to me. I mean, not that everybody in Atlanta is like that. I know a lot of good people in Atlanta, but some of the stuff I was seeing in Atlanta, tell me if you've been to Atlanta or you live in Atlanta and you know what I'm talking about. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous and crazy and stupid, and it's causing people to go broke. I'll let you get the last word, Noma, please.
I don't need the last word, but I wanted to say earlier on when you were talking, you're like, we don't need to be ashamed if we have financial problems because most of us start with nothing. And I made a mental note to bring that back up and say that that's something that we all have to stop doing. One of the things that I promised myself is, I have 3 children right now, that by the time I leave this earth, God willing, I have a lot more time. I want to have at least 3 properties. They could be 3 little studio apartments, but I want to have three properties that I can leave for my children so that when they start their lives, they're not starting with nothing or starting with a mortgage. Another thing that I want to do for my children is they will never have college debt. If we don't have the money to support them going to college, they just ain't going. Those are the things that I feel like whenever I talk to Black people, that's what's setting them back. It's going to be the debt, and it's going to be starting with nothing. So it's like this uphill climb every single generation. And one of the things that you can do for your children is have them not start with nothing, and certainly have them not start their lives in a pile of debt, because then it's just going to be a perpetual thing where they're passing that down from generation to generation. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I wanted to say was talking about wealth. If you can't pass it on for at least 3 generations, it's not wealth. It's just money that you had and lost. Well, it's not. It's just not. It just means you came in some money and lost some money. Wealth is a pattern of being able to sustain what you have and grow it with every generation going forward. If you're not doing that, then it's not wealth. It's just money that you're having and losing.
Wow.
So again, that's the thing. It doesn't have to be a lot. But if I start out, let's say with, the story that I love is about Master P. I think his grandfather left him a life insurance policy for something, and he was able to turn it into something. I couldn't name any of his rap songs or whatever he does, but that's the story that I've always loved about him, is that he took that little bit and turned it into something. And I'm really, really hoping that the next generation, because I know he has children, I know at least one, Romeo, he became a celebrity or whatever, but I'm really, really hoping that he will also pass on to the next generation more than what was passed on to him by his father, and so on and so on. And that's a beautiful story. So it doesn't have to be, I got $1 million in my trust fund and now my kids' trust fund. And again, that's another thing. Trust funds are a thing that don't have to be the fancy. I think to have a trust fund in the United States and call it officially a trust fund, you have to have at least $50,000. You don't have to have an official trust fund. You can call it a trust fund and have a little savings account with $500 and say, this is my child's trust fund. And then your child passes. Then the next generation is not 500, it's 5,000. And the next and the next. This is something that I can't talk enough about. I'm just so tired of hearing about people starting with nothing. And then going into crime and flying and suffering through your whole life. You reach 30, 40, 50, 60 years old and you have nothing. And you die with nothing. And then your child starts with nothing, dies with nothing. That's the one thing we have to stop. And we have to stop thinking that it has to be something huge or dynamic or big. Just a little bit is better than nothing if you're passing it on and growing it with every generation that comes after that. That, to me, is true wealth.
All right. Well, I love that. Intergenerational. We have to think across generations. That's extremely important. And we got to, kind of address some of these habits that we have. I think Master P is a great story. I agree with you because with Master P, he's not just giving his children the benefits of the game. He's giving his children the game. Like you can't, he built the rewards from playing the game successfully, but he's giving them the ability to play the game themselves as well. I mean, his family has a culture of wealth building, right? It's a culture of entrepreneurship. It's a culture of being a boss. It's be honest with you, what Master P is doing with his children is very similar to what Donald Trump's dad did with him. Like we hate him. Everybody dislikes Donald Trump, but Donald Trump's father, Fred, made a deliberate effort at the age of, I think when his father died when he was 13, and he was fixing houses for people. He was making money fixing houses, and he said, I don't want to be a person who fixes other people's houses. I want to own some of these apartments and condos. So he started trying to find ways to buy. And by the time 1945 comes around, when Trump is born, his dad is moving along in the real estate game and owning properties and all that. So by the time his son gets to be 2025, he just hands him the keys to the empire and says, here you go, here's an endowment. Now go out and do something special, make it happen. And also there was a training. It wasn't like, oh, I need you to go to college and get this degree in nursing so you can make a good salary or whatever it was. It wasn't anything like that. It was like, here, son, here's how business works. It's cutthroat. These are some experiences I've had in the last 30 years that you can learn from. Here's $50 million for you to jump in the game and play it. And you don't have to waste your time, filling out job applications. You are a player in New York real estate because I set you up. Now it's up to you to decide what you're going to do with that, right? So again, because it's funny, before Trump became this political figure that everyone hates, he was actually this business figure that many people admired. People that hate him now, they say, oh, I can't stand him as a president. These very same people, if you go back 15 years, they love Trump as a businessman. And so I'm not saying that Trump is a good guy. I'm just saying that when you're whether you like Trump or dislike him, or you're competing with a Trump, there's a way people like that think. And Master P's children will be able to compete with Donald Trump's children. Master P's children are not going to show up at the home of Donald Trump's children looking for a job. If Master P's children are eating with Donald Trump's children, they're going to be talking about business partnerships, not, can you help me get a job because my own community cares so little about me that they didn't prepare me to be economically successful. Because that's what you're saying. Every time your child is begging a white man for an opportunity, I'm just telling you the truth, what you're doing is he's confessing that my own parents, nobody prepared for me, nobody else is helping me. I need you to help me master it. And then you wonder why they don't respect you.
Yeah, God willing, none of my children will ever work for somebody else. God willing.
There you go.
That is not my intention for them.
Yeah, or at the very least, they should have options, right? Like working for other people can be beneficial in certain contexts, but you should always have an option.
To learn, yes, but not because you're desperate for money.
Yeah. When you're desperate and when you have no other choice, and you're without options, then you are without strength. A person without strength is pretty much a person who has no options. That's
But even speaking about learning, Boyce, one thing that I noticed, I used to teach in a hospitality college, so kids who were preparing for the restaurant, hotel industry. One thing that I noticed, there's a lot of immigrants in the United States. The kids who were in the hospitality program, whether it was restaurant management or hotel management, a lot of them weren't just there because they wanted to go get a job as a hotel manager or as a restaurant manager. It's because their parents owned restaurants. They grew up in the restaurant. They go to college to learn how to run a restaurant, and then they come back into the family business. And sometimes their parents were people who couldn't even speak English and had no knowledge of the theory of running a restaurant. So they send their kid to school to go get the knowledge and come back. And I had so much admiration for them. That, they're going through the traditional steps of, go to school and get a good job, but to them, a good job is a job in the family business. And that's what I love. So even if there's a value in learning on the job, why not learn in the family business as opposed to somewhere else where you're not respected and not treated well?
That is so true. Yeah, well, with my brother, I was actually proud when my brother came and worked with me after college. He got a couple job offers for about $50,000 a year. And I got a lot of grief from relatives because they were like, why would you let him pass up those great job opportunities? And I said, well, because I want to be free. I want us to try to see if we can do something special, something different. And
Right.
so my brother started working with me, and we weren't even making that much money. It wasn't even like we got rich all overnight and everything was great.
No.
It was a grind. The money was tight, but we loved it. We loved the fact that we were doing what we loved to do every day. We had this opportunity for this huge upside. We were spending a lot of time together that we normally wouldn't have spent together. We really got to know each other that way. And so my brother eventually, as a promise to my mother, he goes to Cornell to get a master's degree because my mother always believed in traditional education. So he goes to get this master's degree, and he did exactly what you talked about. He went and got the master's. He graduates. A lot of his classmates are getting $150,000, $200,000 a year jobs or whatever they were making at Cornell. It's a big time school. He doesn't take any of those jobs. He came right back to the family business. He came back to the Great Black Speakers, which is the Speakers Bureau that he and I founded together, and that's where he brought his talents back to. And I think that's a model that makes sense for our community, especially when you talk about a community that's constantly under threat, a community that's constantly terrorized by other people. When you're terrorized by other people, you don't leave yourself and your children out in the open like that, defenseless. You fortify, you hunker in, you close in together to form a unified structure that other people have a tougher time attacking. The reason they attack you so easily is because they get you spread out. And when you're spread out like that, everybody's trying to go live in the suburbs. Everybody want to be white. Everybody wants to get away from black people. We all want to go work for white folks. Well, then they pick your black asses off one by one. That's how they kill you. That's how they take you out. Is they take you out one by one because you get spread out. But when you're clumped together and you got a strong family business and a strong family empire, then it's much more difficult for them to come and get any of you because everybody's got backup. So I need y'all to really understand that. So repeat after me. Write this down. Backup. Everybody should have backup, right? Do you have backup? Ask yourself that question. Do you have backup? If you don't, then figure out a way to have backup, or at least make sure your children have backup, and that starts with a mindset. So thank you, Noma. It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for mentioning my charity. I appreciate it.
Yes. Let me mention the charity again. The charity is called padsforourgirls.com. Padsforourgirls.com. I support the charity. It is to raise money to buy sanitary napkins for young girls in Botswana so that they don't have to miss school because they have their cycle. So if you have it in your heart to support, please go to padsforourgirls.com. Also, everybody who's watching on Facebook, please hit the hearts and likes, and please share the video if you appreciate what we were talking about today, or if you were vibing with it. Also, Financial Juneteenth TV, please hit the thumbs up button before you go. Dr. Boyce TV, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Please share the video. Everybody on Instagram at The Real Boyce Watkins, I want to say what's up to everybody there. And thank you guys for hanging out with us also. And last but not least, if you want a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, you can go to drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. I'll be in Philadelphia on May 19th doing a one-day Financial Juneteenth investing seminar to teach you all about investing for the entire day. If you live near Philly or you want to travel, you can find out more at drboycephiladelphia.com. That's drboycephiladelphia.com. Okay, so I'm out of here, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Noma. And we shall see you guys soon. Bye-bye now. Hey, Noma.